Hey, how's it going guys? My name's Daniel, aka HashLips, and welcome to this quick video where we are going to fix a loophole in one of the smart contracts. The smart contract that we are going to be focusing on today is indeed the pre-sale smart contract. You can go to github/hashlips solidity smart contracts repo like this, and then you can go to the smart contracts folder, and we are going to be looking at the pre-sale contract. Previously on this channel, we've implemented a way to provide a kind of pre-sale function in the smart contract. We do, however, have a slight loophole, and it was brought up with the community. One of the community members mentioned it. I had to think about it, and it is something that we would need to fix. This loophole, although it is there, is not a, how can I say, a devastating one, because what it entails is basically it doesn't limit the amount that a whitelisted account can buy. And the reason why it doesn't is because that person can actually transfer out the NFTs that they've minted and then go ahead and mint again. Obviously, you'll need a millionaire to go and buy up a whole NFT collection, but that is possible, and we need to fix that. This is a great example of how smart contracts, loopholes, and little bugs are picked up. Luckily, we have a big community that has checked this out and found this unique little bug, and we're going to fix it today. Let me show you how we're going to fix it, and it's a great way for you guys to learn how we go about this. Let's get started by going to this repo and taking everything from the bottom to the top of this comment and copying it and pasting it in Remix. Remix is our online Solidity compiler that we are going to be using. Once you're on Remix, you can go here and click on the plus icon and just create a new workspace. You will be presented with these three files over there, which we can just immediately remove. So right click on them, delete them. Also the artifacts, let's delete that. Perfect. Now what we're going to do is create a new file. We're going to call it NFT _presale, much like the same one that we had, .sol. And now that we have this, paste all the contents in here. At this point, Remix will actually load up all the dependencies because we have these two imports. Let's look at the bug and test it first so you can see the bug or the little loophole in action. Once everything is loaded up, you'll see the green tick mark here on the Solidity compiler section, and then we're ready to roll. We can now go ahead to the deploy section and let's actually deploy the smart contract to test it out. Go over to contract and select your NFT smart contract over here on the list. This will be this smart contract that we work with. And in the deploy section, I'm just going to put test, 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 and test. Please follow the other videos to make sure that you're doing this correct. We are just doing this to fix this bug and then publish it again to GitHub. I'm going to click deploy, and there's our smart contract. So now that we have this, let me show you the little loophole that existed. So for instance, when I am on the owner's contract address, let's test one mint, and we can go here. Just a side note, a lot of people have found on the dApp that the two parameters that used to be here are only one. And the reason for that is we only have the amount that we need to mint and not the user's or the owner's address, so to say. The address is we get from the sender. So basically we get the address from message.sender, so we don't need to supply it as a parameter. That's just on a side note. Let's go and mint one NFT and see if it works. Indeed it does. And why does it work? Because if we go down here and we see, is our contract paused or not? It's false. Everything looks good. Everything is working. If we check the variable only whitelisted, this is true. So technically, if I go and select another account and I try and mint it, let's go and just give it a value. Otherwise, it's going to say we don't have enough. So I'm going to mint one. It fails because the user is not whitelisted. Let's go and whitelist this user and see the loophole. So on the bottom here, we're going to whitelist this address. We need to grab it from here at the top, so I'm going to copy it over there. I'm going to go down over here. I'm going to open my square brackets, put 2 string quotation marks, and put this address in between. I'm only going to provide one whitelisted user. I have to be, so you see it's failing because the owner is not, the contract is called by not the owner. And if I go here to the top, I can change it to the owner first and then add the whitelisted member. Perfect. Now let's go back to the whitelisted member and see if we can mint. Let me put a value and then say mint. And it says insufficient funds. Why would that be? Oh, because this is way. So we need to change this to if because we want to send 1 ether. So let's do that. Go down and mint. And it's successful. Now we're going to do this. How many times? 3 times. So let's do it again. Perfect. And I should be able to mint 1 more. Perfect. But the last time I want to try and mint, it should fail. And indeed it does. Max NFT per address exceeded. Let's go and check what the max is. So the max supply, max mint amount, that's the max mint amount. Max, this one, is 3. And if we go and we paste this address in the balance of, we can see that the balance already has 3. But now, what happens if this person transfers this NFT to someone else? Let's see how that would work. Let's go and choose our safe transfer. And we need a few things. We need to say this is going to come from this address. We have to select another address like so. Copy it. We have to paste it in there. We have to transfer token ID. Well, we will probably have token ID 1, so that's fine. And then we have to switch back to that person who owns it. Once we say transfer and we transact this, transfer caller is not the owner or approved. Okay, let's go make sure that this one, I'm going to copy this address. And what I want to just quickly see is I want to get all the IDs. So I'm going to say wallet of owner. I've got IDs 2, 3, and 4. Well, these are my IDs, right? So I need to transfer 2, 3, and 4. So I can transfer number 2. Perfect. Let's go and transact. So now I've sent this ID, this actual NFT, to another address. Let me go and see how much I have now in my balance. I've got 2. So technically, even though I'm a whitelisted address, I can still put in ether and mint another one. And that is a loophole because now we only back onto 3. All right. So that is the loophole that we need to now fix. Let's see how to rectify this loophole. Firstly, this is a very good way for you to learn how a blockchain developer should think and solve solutions. We now need some kind of way to know how many NFTs have been minted by a particular address. A great data structure for that is a mapping. We're going to have, we'll make use of this mapping and have a variable to check against when we do a mint. Our mapping can consist of a key and a value pair, where our key will be address and it's going to map where you specify it with an arrow to a uint 256. Now we have to give it an intuitive name and a public scope because I want to access this outside my contract just for testing. But an intuitive name for this would be something like addresses already minted. How about that? So addresses already minted, or maybe addresses minted balance, mint balance. How about that? So we can call this addresses mint balance. I think that's a nice intuitive name. I don't know, you can come up with another name. But the place that we need to kind of do this checking is over here. Think about the logic. We get into this function, and yes, we do a bunch of requirement checks to see if we are, if it's available for us to mint firstly, but then it checks if this person is not the owner. All of this code will run, especially this line where we take the value for that NFT. But this code over here, this block, is only run when it's a whitelisted address and if the whitelisted variable, the Boolean, is set to true. Meaning, if we are busy with the presale, this is where this will happen. Now, let's go ahead and do a little bit of a change. On the first line over here, we can see that we require to see if an address is already a whitelisted address. If it's not, it would simply return and nothing will happen. But if it is, it will pass, and this is where we get the count. Now, this is where the loophole is. The loophole is not that bad. Like I said, you allow people to kind of mint. They are whitelisted. The limit will not apply to them, which is sometimes bad because they can simply transfer those NFTs out and their balance won't stay the same, or they go lower and then they can mint again. So this is the part that we need to change. How can we do that? Well, this balance of takes in consideration how many NFTs the person owns. But our new variable, which is this one, addresses mint balance, this will actually check if this address, how many times have this address minted. Okay, that's the whole purpose of this. Let's see if this works. We're going to type message, so msg.sender, and we're going to cap it like this. This line will return to us an integer value, which we will then consider as the owner token count, which we can now change. We can say owner minted count. So this is going to be the owner minted count. It's going to be equal to that, and that we're going to get from the addresses minted balance. Now that we have this new variable, let's go and replace it over there, and then it should be good. I still don't like this name, addresses minted balance. Address mint, let's call it address minted balance. I think that sounds a bit better. So I'm going to copy that and just change this variable over here so that it's the same. That sounds a bit better. Address minted balance. So the only thing left to do still is to make sure that yes, the owner's amount needs to be less than that, but also what if someone specified a huge amount? Okay, let's say that they said that we want to mint this amount, and then we are only checking if this owner's address, is below the limit. This person can technically mint quite a lot of NFTs. That's why we need to take this into consideration. We need to take this, and then we need to add this to this amount, okay? Because this is the owner's amount that they have minted before, which would be 0. And then we would need to kind of add this to this amount. So we need to say, if the owner minted count plus this mint amount, okay? So if this plus this is less than the NFT per address limit. But now we need to change this to less or equal to. Because it's going to mean that if this comes along, if we mint this amount of NFTs onto this address, and we take this full amount and it's still less or equal to this, it's fine. The person can go ahead and mint it. Then lastly, we just need to add this line over here. I've already added this, and this is before the tutorial started, but basically what this says is the address minted balance, and we pointing it to the message.sender, increments every time. This is this variable over here. It increments every time in this loop, and that will then complete this loophole situation that we have fixed. I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to test out the contract. In order to test the contract, go here to the left, select your contract. I'm just going to put in T's for all the values just to test, but you have to do this properly. Just check the previous tutorial on how to properly put in these inputs. But for this case of ours, we're just going to test it. We're here at the top, and this is going to be our owner's address. We can simply copy that address just to work with it a bit more easier. And when we open or expand the contract, we can see there's all the functions. Let's go ahead now and mint one. We can see that by minting an NFT, it's successful, and we can go to the bottom, click on total supply, and it is indeed one. What happens now if we select someone that's not whitelisted and we don't supply any value and we try and transact? It's going to say, well, the user is not whitelisted. All right, perfect. So we can select another one and we can do the same. It says the user is not whitelisted. Perfect. Now, what if we supply a value and we try the same? Nothing will happen, because the thing is, we have the whitelisted on. We have it switched on, so the whitelisted, the pre-sale is happening, so it won't carry on and it won't pass this. Okay, it won't pass that require. But let's go ahead and whitelist this address. Let's whitelist the second address. We can copy the second address, go down to this whitelist user function, put in your square brackets and quotation marks, and in there put the address. I'm going to put a comma after that quotation mark, and I'm going to put a second address in there as well. I want to whitelist two addresses at least. So I'm going to whitelist these two just so it's easier for me to work with, and also have two that I can play around with. So two more quotation marks and another address. I have to be on the owner's address to execute this call, and then it's successful. So now when I go to this address, which has just been whitelisted, and I go and try and mint, it says insufficient funds, and that's true because we always have to put a value in here. So I'm going to transact. It says insufficient funds, so I'm just going to put in 1. It is 1, so transact, and there it's successful. Perfect. All right, so now I can take that address, paste it in there and in here, and well, this is this address, so let's just copy it over there. Let me go and paste that in there and that in there. And the reason why I want to check these two functions is because this one will tell me how many NFTs this person owns, but the true value, and this one will tell me how many attempts I had at minting NFTs, and this is the one that we want to limit. So now let's go and check out and see what will happen if I go ahead and mint another one. So I'm specifying another one and another one and another one. I wish I had this much ETH to spend on NFTs. Let's check it out. So it says max NFT exceeded per address, right? And that is true because now this is 3 and this is 3 as well. And this is the one we're checking. Our loophole consisted when someone transferred one away. So let's see what happens. I'm going to take this address's NFT and I'm going to transfer it away. I need to see what tokens this guy owns. So I'm going to go ahead and check the wallet of this owner. I see that he owns this token, which is the ID of 4 or the index. Now I'm going to put the index in here, which is 2. And I can see that our token by index is 3. So I'm going to now transfer my token number 3 out of here. So let me take that, and then I also have to specify an address where I want to send this to. So I'm going to do that, and perfect. Let me copy that address. Let me paste it there. Let's transfer it. It says it's not the owner, so I need to be on that one. I believe it ends with a C2B. This one ends with a, let's go to the very end quickly. This one ends with a C2B. Perfect. Transact. Now I've sent my NFT away. So if I see on my address, I only have 2 now left, but my address minted still says 3. So I cannot go and simply mint another one. Transact, and it failed. I can, however, if the owner lifted all the contract's rules and says that the pre-sale has now ended, where we do it in this function over there, we set it to false, we have to transact, and if I go ahead to that address and I put in a value, I'm going to mint another one. And there you can see our balance is again 3, but we've minted 4 because the kind of pre-sale is now over. One last thing that we need to check is what happens if the pre-sale is still on. So let's go and put that back. So I'm going to make this true. And we need to be on the owner's account. Let's set that to true. There it is. And now there should be a ban, so people can't mint anymore, right? Well, only the pre-sale addresses can. If you remember, we also turned this address to a pre-sale account. So if I can put in a value over there and I mint one, it goes through. And we can copy this person's wallet address and put it down here and in there and just check there is one and we have minted one. But this function over here, we can specify like 4 or 5 or even 6, 7, 20 NFTs if we want to. Let's try and mint 10 NFTs and give it 10 ether so that it has enough value to transfer. It will fail because the max NFT per address has been blocked. So you can see that nothing will go through. Then once again, if we have lifted the ban of the pre-sale, we can put that to false. And when I go back to that person who wanted 10 NFTs, I can say I want 10. He's going to pay a lot of gas fees, just keep that in mind, but it's doable and it minted 10. And now I can see that it carries on and it mints them. All right, this is the value that OpenSea and everyone checks. This is our personal one. And that is how we resolve this loophole in the pre-sale contract. This is a great way, like I said, for you to understand how to kind of block certain logic, but it's also a great test for you guys to go ahead and read through smart contracts. In this video series that I make, we will expand our knowledge on writing simple smart contracts, starting at the basics, going into very complex smart contracts so you understand everything in a chronological order, I would say, but also in a step-by-step process, and also the logic inside these contracts. The last thing I want to mention is someone got confused in the community on how to actually withdraw the money from the smart contract. As you can see, here we have a bunch of ether that's gone from these wallets. Now, this ether is sitting inside of this contract address, and the owner has the right to withdraw it. How can we withdraw all the money from this smart contract? Well, in order to withdraw money from a smart contract in Remix, it's quite easy. When I click on this withdraw method, you can see it doesn't take in any parameters. When I call this, you can see it was successful, and this contract has 114 ether now, where it used to have only 99. And how cool is that? The confusion comes in when we go to Etherscan or Polygon Scan and you click on the right contract because you have all the functionality here. If you go to the withdraw button on these scanners, so to say, they ask you for a field to enter in here. What is this field? Payable amount. It means it's asking you for the amount that you want to send to this contract. So please don't put in any amount there. If you do, you're going to just simply send money into your contract and withdraw some. You simply want to put that to 0 and click on write if you're using Ether or Polygon Scan. Or like I said, if you're using Remix, it's the same as putting this to 0 and then just calling this withdraw button. Anyway, guys, I really hoped you enjoyed this video. I am so excited for everyone learning with me, and I cannot wait for the next video where we will be writing more smart contracts like these. If you have an idea for a smart contract, please leave it in the comment section below, and also follow our social channels, Discord and Telegram, in the description of this video. Cheers for now.